You've probably seen them, right? That sea of orange shirts that pops up every September 30th? But behind that color is a really powerful and deeply personal story that actually sparked a national movement for truth and healing right here in Canada. So let's dive in and really get to the heart of what Orange Shirt Day is all about. It all starts with a little girl. Her name was Phyllis Webstad. Back in 1973, she was just 6 years old, and she was so excited for her first day of school. Her grandmother had bought her this brand new, shiny orange shirt just for the occasion, but when she got to the St. Joseph Mission Residential School, they took it from her. Just like that, and she never saw it again. That one simple act came to symbolize the entire goal of the system, to strip away her identity, her culture, and her dignity.
And here's the thing that's just so hard to wrap your head around. Phyllis's story, as personal and heartbreaking as it is, she wasn't alone, not even close. Over 150,000 First Nations, Métis, and Inuit children were forcibly taken from their families and sent to schools just like the one Phyllis went to.
So what was this system? I mean, to really understand the meaning of that orange shirt, we have to pull back the lens and look at the history of Canada's residential schools.
Okay, this is the part that is absolutely crucial to understand. This wasn't just some flawed education system that needed a few tweaks. No. It was designed with a very specific and openly stated goal: cultural suppression. The whole point was to take children from their homes, from their communities, and erase their languages, their traditions, their entire way of life.
And look, this was not some brief chapter in history. The system itself got its start way back in the 1830s. Phyllis's experience, the one that sparked this whole movement, that was in 1973. And the very last federally run residential school, it didn't shut its doors until 1996. That is well within the lifetime of so many of us. It took until 2021 for a national holiday to finally be established to recognize this history.
The consequences were, and still are, just devastating. We're talking about widespread physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. That systematic cultural suppression we just mentioned, neglect, and awful conditions led to tragically high death rates. And all of that has created this deep, intergenerational trauma that continues to echo through families and communities to this very day.
But out of all that pain, something incredibly powerful started to grow. The story of one little girl's stolen orange shirt became the spark for a nationwide movement, a call for remembrance and a demand for real change. So what happened was, after Phyllis Webstad finally shared her story with the world, the very first Orange Shirt Day event was held in her community of Williams Lake, British Columbia, back in 2013. And what started as this local event, it just caught fire. It spread right across the country, growing into this massive grassroots call for truth, education, and reconciliation.
You know, that grassroots momentum became so powerful, it just couldn't be ignored. So in 2021, the Canadian government officially recognized September 30th as a federal statutory holiday. This means Orange Shirt Day is now also the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a day set aside to honor every single person affected by that residential school system. Okay, so let's quickly run through the key details here. Creating this holiday directly fulfills Call to Action number 80 from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That was the body set up to document the whole history and legacy of the schools. It's a day off for all federal employees and people in federally regulated jobs, and the date itself, September 30th, that was chosen for a very specific reason. It's the time of year when children were historically ripped away from their families and sent off to these schools.
So, knowing all this history, the question for all of us becomes, how do we participate in a way that's respectful and truly meaningful? Well, it starts by turning our awareness into action. Here are 4 really concrete steps you can take. First off, wear an orange shirt. It shows solidarity and it starts conversations. And if you can, try to buy one from an Indigenous artist or organization. Second, take some time to educate yourself. Read survivor stories, watch a documentary. Third, use your platform, your social media, to amplify Indigenous voices. Share their content. And fourth, and this one is maybe the most important, just listen. Go to a local or virtual event and really hear and honor the stories of survivors.
But here's the thing. True allyship, real reconciliation, that can't be something we just think about on one single day of the year. The real work is a year-round commitment.
And that brings us to a really crucial distinction. On one hand, you have symbolic support, like wearing the shirt, and that is absolutely vital for raising awareness. But then you have systemic support, and that's the deeper, long-term stuff that creates real, lasting change for communities. We honestly need both.
So what does systemic support actually look like? Well, it means donating to organizations that are on the ground directly helping survivors. It means learning about the 94 calls to action from the TRC and pushing for them to actually be implemented. It also means supporting the investigations into unmarked graves at former school sites and helping to fund the cultural and counseling programs that are so essential for healing.
You know, underneath all of this work is this idea of cultural competency. But it's not like a course you take and then you're done. It's not a finish line you cross. It's a continuous, ongoing practice. It means committing to learning Indigenous histories, to listening to Indigenous perspectives, and to really taking a look at our own biases and our own role in all of this.
And that commitment brings us full circle, right back to that simple but unbelievably powerful phrase at the heart of this entire movement. It's a declaration that stands in total opposition to a system designed to make children feel like they didn't matter at all. The central truth is, and always was, every child matters.
So we've walked through the story, the history, and the path forward. But reconciliation isn't a passive thing. It's a journey. And it's a journey made up of individual steps. So the final thought we want to leave you with is this. What will your next step be?